Joining me now, Simon Rosenberg, president and founder of New Democrat Network and a former Clinton campaign advisor, and Ben Ferguson, host of The Ben Ferguson Show. You know, Simon, when the president claimed that he knew it was terror, he said it was terror at that town hall debate. You know, he knew that he said that on September 12th. And now we see, you know, the information coming in real time about the 20 guys and how the ambassador was locked in this safe room, and, you know, we all know how it wound up. That was the first question that I wondered, was if he did know, in fact, that it was terror. I mean, there was no question that he knew that the 4 Americans were dead, but he knew it was terror. Was it appropriate? You know, was it appropriate for him to go to Vegas on the first, you know, the first time he acknowledges we had a terror attack on his watch?
Well, clearly he did, because he went. And I think that, you know, we're at the very end of this campaign. I'm sure that was not an easy decision to make, but it also was over. It had been handled, and we had people in place that were managing this for him. This is a large government. We have a large military and intelligence apparatus in our government, and I think they made the decision that it had ended, it had been settled. We knew we were starting to get information about what was coming in, and that he didn't change public or private schedule that day. It was the decisions. Presidents have to make these decisions every day. That was the decision they made. I'm sure he sticks by it.
You know, Ben, on the other hand, yes, he's the president, but he would like to be president in a second term, and feels that he can do a lot of good and keep a lot of people safe if he stays the president, and that does require campaigning.
Sure. Well, but here's the other thing. It wasn't handled. I mean, what was going on in Benghazi was obviously not being handled well because of all the misinformation between all the people that are supposed to be working for the president. They weren't even on the same page. So if you know that the people below you are all giving you different stories, and you know that an American ambassador has been killed, and you know that there have been direct emails coming into the Situation Room telling you this is a terrorist attack, but your UN ambassador and the State Department are out there telling you, and your White House press secretary, by the way, walked on stage and said, "Let me be clear." Jay Carney said, "Let me be clear. This is in reaction to a YouTube video." And you know that's not true. You don't get on a plane and go to Vegas and then somehow punt on this and say, well, I've got people that handle this for me. Real leaders lead in times like this, and you don't let all your staff be all over the place on things like this and then act as if it's someone else's fault later on down the line. You're the one on the ticket. You're the one running for office. You're the one that's president of the United States of America. And if you can't handle the job, don't run for re-election.
There's a question about whether he knew that this wasn't about a video at that moment. What we've established through these emails is that there was at least conflicting information going into the White House. I mean, at least conflicting. I mean, there were definitely some reports that this jihadist group that was unleashing hell on our ambassador and 3 others at that time. Simon, here's what I want to ask you, because we've had people on this show recently, the wife of one of those Fort Hood soldiers who was murdered, who was upset that the president wouldn't label that attack a terrorist attack and accused the president of being tone deaf response to that. And then we see this incident, and we went back and looked at the president's remarks after Fort Hood, and this is what we saw. Listen.
Let me first of all just thank Ken and the entire Department of the Interior staff for organizing just an extraordinary conference. I want to thank my cabinet members and senior administration officials who participated today. I hear that Dr. Joe Medicine Crow was around, and so I want to give a shout out to that Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Good to see you. But as some of you might have heard, there has been a tragic shooting at the Fort Hood Army base in Texas. We don't yet know all the details at this moment.
That was the same day as 13 people were shot and killed, and then dozens of others wounded. And you take it, Simon, whether there is a tone deafness issue.
I think that any implication that this administration has not taken the threat of terror seriously is just farcical. I mean, we've seen bin Laden killed, Al-Qaeda's been severely weakened, we've had drone strikes and aggressive attacks against terrorist forces, you know, in many countries throughout that region and into Asia. So I think the implication that somehow the president hasn't taken this seriously is silly.
Let me ask you just a slightly different question before I give it to Ben. And I'll give you the last word, Ben, but I want to ask you this, Simon. But what about, you know, in times of trouble, in times of terrorist attack, we need our leader. You know, we need him to make us, to set the tone, to put it in perspective.
But, Megyn, I also think it's important that the leader doesn't jump the gun and doesn't start saying things until all the facts are in. It took only 2 weeks for the intelligence community to come to a basic consensus when they reported here conflicting information, right? We weren't really sure what happened. They've settled on a consensus now about what did happen. It only took 2 weeks. That's not that long.
That's not that long.
I'm
answering the question. About the substance. I'm talking more about, you know, putting in perspective for us. And
I think the president
big picture guy.
I think the president did a terrific job on this because he responded to it within 24 hours. He spoke about it again in another 24 hours. I know we disagree on this, guys.
I got to give the last word because I gave you so much time. Go ahead.
Megyn, perception is reality, and to not just the American people for a second, think about what terrorists were seeing from the President of the United States of America after they attacked us on the anniversary
after he killed Osama
of
bin Laden, Ben. After he killed Osama bin Laden. How do you think they felt then, Ben? How do you think they felt then?
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. My point is this. When they see a President of the United States of America going off to Vegas, do you think that empowers them? Do you think that they should be worried? One of the guys involved in this, by the way, was sitting on a balcony at a hotel mocking America 3 days ago saying, they say they're trying to find me, well, here I am, and they're not coming to get me. So you tell me if they're more empowered right now or not.
All right. I got to leave it at that. We'll leave that rhetorical. But listen, I appreciate it. I don't know. It's a tough question, and we'll continue to take a look at it. Simon, Ben, thank you both so much.
Thanks, Megyn.
Thanks for having us.
Former First Lady Laura Bush.